Hello Mr. and Mrs. Percy, this is your handover video just to show you some of the basic controls. If there is anything that you're unsure of after you've watched the video, please feel free to give me a phone call and I'll talk you through any aspects that you're unsure about. Thank you. As previously mentioned, your wing mirrors are automatically folding and opening via the key. So when you press the lock button, they fold in. When you press the unlock button, they unfold. And as previously shown to you, for when you're driving your car out of your garage, there is a button within the car, which I'll come on to in a few moments, to show you how to manually do it. One other button on the key as well, it looks like your headlights, and what that's actually for is called your Guide Me Home lighting. And what it's for is for when your car is parked in a darkened car park or down an alley as an example, and there's no street lighting. You can actually press and hold the button and it'll actually put the headlights on for you just to help you find your car. Moving on to the next section. Moving on to your fuel filler cap. Simply you pull it open and what you'll notice is on your fuel filler cap there's a little section where you can pop your key in, and all you do is flick your key out, pop your key in, twist it round to the left, pull it out, and actually there's a little section where you can hold your key there, your fuel filler cap, sorry. Once you're done filling up your car, just take it again, pop it in until it slots in, round to the right and out, and it's locked in. Moving round to the boot, just to show you where your tools are in the boot. When you come to the boot, lift up the floor and you'll find your full-size spare wheel in there, and also your locking wheel nut key for when you take your car into the garage to ever have any work done or to replace your tyres. That's what the mechanics use to remove your alloy wheels. As previously mentioned, you do have reverse parking sensors as well as a reverse parking camera, which I'll come on to in just a moment, both which are activated automatically when you put the car into reverse. Also, please be aware, I'm actually focusing on the caps for your wheels. Now what you have is on this car you have tyre pressure monitoring sensors. So what that basically means is that if the car detects that one of your tyres has lost some pressure, it will actually appear on the dashboard of the car, just to make you aware. It's quite common for it to appear probably twice a year. And one of the main reasons for it to appear on the dash of your car is actually temperature fluctuations outside, just because extreme high or low temperatures can actually affect your tyre pressures, and sometimes an indication does appear on your dashboard. Please don't worry if it does. You can always bring it to us here in the garage. We can inspect your tyre pressures and then we can reset your tyre pressure monitoring system from there. But it is also designed that before you go on a long journey, if for example you've picked up a slow puncture, it is an early warning system just to say that look, you might have a slow puncture, just have a garage inspect your tyres and we can make sure they're okay. Okay, moving on to the inside of the car now. On your door card you'll find your electric windows for both the front and the rear of the vehicle. You also have this button here which actually locks the ability for anyone else in the car to use their electric windows apart from the driver themselves. Coming on to near the steering wheel section, just to the right hand side of the steering wheel you'll find a number of buttons. The one furthest on the left, this one here, as I showed you, what this is used for is to do two things. One, to adjust the mirror, the selected mirror on the left or the right hand side, but it's also used to actually fold your mirrors in whilst you're on the move. Again, using the example of you driving your car out of the garage. Now there's a few settings which you can choose. Now it's all indicated by the little white line here, and currently it's pointing to the middle, so it's not actually selected either your right or your left-hand mirror at this moment in time. So what you can do is use it to select, for example, the right-hand mirror. And when the car is on, once you've selected it, you can move it around, and what that actually does is it changes the face of the mirror electronically. The same if you move it to the left, that would then select the left-hand mirror and allows you to change the face of the mirror. Now what you can also do is then twist it so the line points down to this symbol here, and once the car is on or your ignition is on, what that will actually do is fold your mirrors in for your garage. Moving on to the two buttons on the right hand side here, this is your lane departure warning system. Now as an example, if you're driving down a country road and this symbol here appears on your dashboard here, it's just an early warning system to make you aware that you're actually going over the lines of the road, or you're straying away from your currently selected lane. The one below that button there is your child locks for all of the doors, and this section just to the right is to actually adjust your headlight levels. Now it's currently set at the standard of 0. If you have excessive weight in the back of the car and you want to readjust your headlights to come down, you can actually cycle through the numbers and it will bring down your headlights according to the weight in the car. But I'll leave it set at 0, which is the standard setting. Okay, back to the interior near the steering wheel. Now what I'll do is I'll show you where your washers and your wipers are. So on the right hand stalk here, very similar to your current Citroen, you have your wiper speeds by going up or down. You'll notice that there is a button or a symbol there, sorry, which indicates if you move it all the way down, auto, it'll activate your automatic windscreen wipers. So what I've done is I've activated your automatic windscreen wipers ready for when you pick up, so you won't have to set that. And as soon as it rains, your front and your rear wipers will come on automatically. For your rear windscreen wiper and washer, it's simply one click of the end here to activate your rear washer, and then you simply pull it further round to wash the rear view windscreen as well. Now to wash the front windscreen, what you do is you actually pull the whole stalk towards you, and that will wash your front windscreen. The button on the end here, what that will actually do is by pressing that button there, it will cycle through the trip information shown on your screen in front of you on the dashboard. Okay, moving on to the left-hand stalk. It's a very similar setup whereby you have your lights. So all indicated by your white line there. 0 is off, automatic, auto is for automatic, side lights, dipped beam, and again, you may have seen in the background the green lights illuminated to let you know which lights you currently have on. And what you would do is for your main beams, once you have selected your dip beams, by pulling it towards you, it will actually flash that on. Now there's two settings, so you can either pull it towards you for a flash, as you can see by the blue light which is appearing on the dashboard, or you can pull it 2 clicks towards you and then it'll actually stay on for you. You'll also notice that the inside here you have your fog lights, and again you can probably see in the background there when they're coming on and when they're coming off, and your indicators up and down. Moving to the bottom stalk down here, you have very similar to your current Citroen C3. You can select between your speed limiter and your cruise control. What you can't see is the buttons on the back, which you use to adjust speeds on either of those, and then you can pause or reactivate both the speed limiter and the cruise control from the end button there. Okay, just going to go through a few buttons first before we go onto the screen in the car. Now, starting with the left here, what this is just simply your volume. So up and down, and if you push it in, you can see by the symbol in the top left, that's your mute button, and to unmute it as well. Your next button, as you can probably hear, aims all your fans to defrost the front windscreen. The next is your heated rear windscreen. The next is your hazards. And the final one is the central locking for the car. When it's red, all of the doors, including the boot, is locked. When it's unilluminated, all of the doors, including the boot, is open. Now please be aware, when you do drive away in the car, when you exceed 5 miles per hour, it will automatically lock all of the doors. That is a safety feature of the car, so please just bear that in mind. Okay, and finally moving on to the touchscreen of the car. Now, it's you're moving away from the buttons which you have in your current car, and you're moving towards the modern touchscreen system which Citroën have put in all of their cars. It's very simple. The way that you navigate through the different information which you see on the central screen here is actually by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white buttons along the left and the right hand side of the screen. Now, starting with the musical note on the top left, which we're currently on, which is everything to do with your music. Now, it's currently showing a particular radio station. If you wish to look at the whole list of radio stations, as it suggests, you press the word list, and then what you can do is you can actually cycle through the radio stations, and you can press and select which radio station you like. You can also, there's another button which is called the presets, which are, if you think of like a traditional radio system where it would have buttons 1 through to 6, this is your buttons 1 through to 6 that are saved, and again with a selection of radio stations which are currently selected. Now you can either push them on the screen, or coming over to the steering wheel here, you'll see a wheel on the right hand side. Now by wheeling this down or up, as you can see me doing there, you can cycle through the radio stations to the one that you like. Now to select the one that you like when you come onto one, what you do is you then push in that button and it actually selects the radio station that you've chosen. As you can see, it's now on BBC Radio 4. Okay, moving on to the next section now. This button here, which looks like a little compass, it's not sat nav. What this car has, just to make you aware, and what a lot of modern cars have, is that if you have, for example, an iPhone such as myself, I can plug my iPhone into the USB socket down here, and by pressing that button there, it allows me to access the sat nav through the car as if it was built in, just so you're aware. The next button, which looks like a little 4-leaf clover, is actually everything to do with your fans. Now on your fans, you've got a couple of sections. You've got the fan speeds, which you see here, the temperature, which is in the center, and then also the direction of the airflow on the right hand side. You also have a few buttons down here, like your recirculate, air conditioning, and also your auto. Now interestingly enough, you can control the speeds manually. However, how I like to do it in my Citroën is what I do is I press the auto button. It then works identical to how your central heating system in your home would do, whereby you set the temperature, the car will then work towards achieving the temperature that you've set. And what it does is it just eliminates you having to continuously change the speeds, change the temperature. It will just maintain a comfortable temperature that you feel is acceptable. Moving on to the right hand side, we have the telephone section. Now you would access this section to link your telephone. Again, it shows the Bluetooth search section there. You would then also go onto the Bluetooth section on your mobile phone to link the car. By pressing that button, it finds your mobile telephone, and then you can follow the steps via both the car and the phone to set it up. The square section does two things. You can import photographs from your phone onto the car, and it can be shown on the screen. And if you have a linked mobile phone, it can also show text messages, as you can see from the SMS section there, and it will display them on the screen for you. And then finally, you have the little picture of the car here. Now this is all of your inbuilt vehicle settings that you can turn on or off all manner of electrical functions of the car, including the stop-start technology. Now the thing to understand with the stop-start technology in this car is the car will cut off to reduce the emissions that the vehicle produces, as well as save you fuel driving in and around town. However, it will only turn off under very specific circumstances. An example is that if you have come to a stop at a set of traffic lights, for the car to turn off, you would have to put the car into neutral. You would have to pull up the handbrake, and your feet would have to be away from the pedals. What would happen? The car would then turn off. Simply to turn the car back on, you would actually just depress the clutch, and the car detects that you've done so. It then understands that you're probably going to want to start moving away in a few moments, and as soon as you depress the clutch, the car will turn back on. So it's not going to change any way how you don't have to change the way that you normally drive your car. Just please be aware that probably in a stop-start town or city scenario, the car will turn off, but it will turn back on automatically when you depress the clutch. Again, you can turn off your parking sensors. And moving on to the one that you're probably going to use the most, the under-inflation initialization. So if you remember me talking about your tyre pressure monitoring sensors previously, it will actually appear on this screen here, and it will say that your tyre pressures are low. If you suspect it's due to temperature conditions instead of a nail or any fault with your car, you can always, first of all, reinitialize your tyre pressures here. By doing so, that resets the tyre pressure monitoring sensors. And as an example, if you do that and then you continue on as normal, and let's say a few hours go past or a few days, and it doesn't come back and say that your tyre pressures are low, you'll probably find it was due to the temperature outside as opposed to actually having any damage to the tyres. If you were to go through that process and it were to almost immediately reappear, i.e. even within an hour or two, you'll probably find you have some form of slow puncture, and we would recommend that you then take it to the garage. Just a few extra bits about the steering wheel. Starting on the left hand side here, you have the volume controls for the radio, which can be selected there. This section here, much like tapping the end of your right stalk, will actually go through the trip information being shown on your dashboard. This one here is for voice activation for compatible phones, mobile phones. Moving on to the right hand side, again, we've already demonstrated how the wheel works with the screen, with the radio. Picture of the telephone is if you have a mobile phone linked to the Bluetooth. This is how you pick up and put down the phone. To pick up the phone, you would press it once. To end the phone call, you would actually press and hold it until the phone call ended. The list button, very similar, if identical to the section on the radio. You would press the list button. What it does is it loads up the whole list of radio stations, and again, using that wheel, you can select which one you want, press it in, and you can change your radio stations on the go without having to take your hand off the steering wheel. And finally, SRC stands for source. Now, source, that means the source of the music. So if you have an electronic device connected to the car and you want to switch from, let's say, radio to Bluetooth on your mobile telephone, you would press that button. It would show all illuminated available options, and then you're able to press it, and then you'll be able to cycle through the different sources of the music. So that concludes your video handover guide of your new Citroën C3. You are going to be supplied with a full handbook and also a quick go guide. The quick go guide will actually show you all manner of basic functions and features on the Citroën C3 with pictures and simple instructions to go through as well. Very, very useful. It's typically the one that most people use. However, for a more in-depth description of all of the features on the Citroën, including some things that the car won't have because it is a generic handbook, there is a full handbook which you'll receive on day of collection as well. If there's any questions that you have prior to the collection of your Citroen C3 after this video, please do get in touch and I can talk you through. And again, even once you've taken collection, and if there's anything that you think that I haven't covered, I'm more than happy to go through them over the telephone and go through them with you afterwards. Thank you.